Hello friends, welcome to yet another fascinating video of Wisdom Zone. This is Shubro, and friends, I'm quite sure you have already guessed it from the thumbnail that in today's video I am gonna discuss second conditional in English grammar. So it is my earnest request to all of you, please watch this video to learn all about second conditional and how to use second conditional. And if you still haven't subscribed to this channel, please do not wait, immediately go ahead and subscribe to Wisdom Zone and hit the bell icon to get the first notification. So without wasting any more time, let's get started. So friends, welcome back once again to this fascinating session on second conditional in English grammar. And as I have promised, in today's video I am gonna discuss the correct use of second conditional and how you can make sentences using second conditional, and I'll give you several examples. So friends, before I go ahead, let me quickly remind all of you that I have provided some more videos on English grammar, especially videos on conditional, first conditional, zero conditional. So if you haven't checked those videos yet, please do not forget to check the links given in the description. So without further ado, let's get started with today's video. So friends, before I go ahead and show you all the important sentences and syntax of second conditional, let me give you a brief idea about second conditional. As you see on your screen, what is the second conditional? So let me tell you, second conditional is used to describe a particular condition in the future which is unreal, as there is not a real possibility that this condition will happen. So it is like a dream. It is not very real, but it is still possible, but it is not very much real. It seems quite unreal. That is second conditional. So I'm quite sure it's clear. It's more like a dream and it's not very real. Obviously there is very less possibility of it. So let me show you, let me give you the first example. As you see on your screen, if I were you, I would buy a new car. You can understand that it is quite unreal, that I cannot be you. Just for sake of saying, I'm using second conditional to convey my message that if I were in your position, I would buy a new car. So that's why second conditional becomes so important. Friends, up next, I'm gonna go ahead and discuss about the syntax, how to construct sentences, and I'll show you the exact sentence structure of second conditional. As you see the syntax. So the first part is the condition part, where we use if plus the simple past form of the verb. We use the simple past form, if plus simple past form, to describe the condition. And in the second clause, what we do, we use would plus infinitive, that is base form of the verb. We use would and we use the present form of the verb or the infinitive or the base form of the verb, which definitely would give us the result. So I'm quite sure it's clear. By this way you can make second conditional sentences. So let me repeat, if plus simple past, which gives us the condition, to introduce the condition, and in the second clause we use would and then the base form of the verb or the infinitive to give the result. So that's the basic syntax to make second conditional sentences. So as you see the second example on your screen, if I had money, I would buy a car. So you can understand that I am using if, then I'm using the verb had, which is past form. If I had money, then in the second clause I am using would, and after would I am using the base form of the verb or the infinitive to talk about the result. As you see, I would buy a new car. So I'm quite sure the syntax is clear. Let me tell you, we use the past simple tense in the first part of the sentence to talk about the future condition, which I have already mentioned, and we use would plus the infinitive or the base form of the verb to talk about the future result, which gives us the future result, obviously, which is quite unlikely. It may seem unreal, but still there is an unreal possibility that the condition will happen or may happen. There is very less possibility the condition that will happen. So I'm quite sure you have understood how to form second conditional sentences. Up next, we are going to go ahead and see more examples of second conditional. I'll give you some more examples of second conditional. As you see, the third sentence is on your screen. If I married her, I would be happy. So if I married, so this is kind of an unreal condition I'm giving. This is the condition I'm using, married, which is in the past form, married. If I married her, I would be happy. So here I'm using would and using the base form of the verb or the infinitive, and I'm giving the result happy. So that's the way to make sentence in second conditional. We can use another interesting sentence, as you see, number 4. If it failed, what would you do? So you can also make interrogative sentence like this way. Here also, if you see, if it failed, so here after if, I'm using the past form, that is failed, and then in the second part I'm asking a question, what would you do? I'm using would, and obviously the simple present form of the verb to ask the question. So up next we are going to see some more examples. Before that, let me tell you, it's the kind of a general rule of all the conditional sentences that we take off the comma when if clause comes in the second part of the sentence. You must have noticed in the previous examples, the fourth example which I have discussed, there was a comma after the if clause, after ending the first clause or the conditional clause, like if it failed. After that I am using a comma and then giving the rest of the sentence. I am giving the second clause using would, but we just take off the comma when we use the if clause in the second part of the sentence. That means we begin with the second clause. We don't begin with the if clause, it comes in the second part. So as you see, I would buy a new house if I own a lottery. So here if clause, if I own a lottery, is coming in the second part of the sentence. I am not starting with the if clause. I am not saying if I own a lottery I would buy a new house. So that's why I am just removing the comma. So that's the general rule of thumb. So we need to just take off the comma when if clause is coming in the second part of the sentence. See the next one. She would quit her job if she had a lot of money. Okay, again, if she had a lot of money, so if clause is coming in the second part. And we can see some more examples. Number 7, what would you do if you became a millionaire? So same thing, I'm using the if clause in the second part of the sentence. That's why there is no comma. I have taken off the comma. The 8th example is also quite interesting. You can also make negative sentences. As you see, I wouldn't worry if I were you. So again, if I were you, so if clause is coming in the second part, so there is no comma. So I'm quite sure it's clear. At last, let me give you another important piece of information. As you see, you need to note that we can use were after I, he, she and it in second conditional sentences. So you must be wondering how it is possible, but that's the rule. You can use were after I, after he, after she and after it also in case of second conditional sentences. That's the rule. We normally don't use were after singular, but in case of second conditional, this is one exception. It is used. You can say that I were, he were, she were. But however, we generally use was after he or she. Generally we use was, but we can use were also. It is accepted and it is allowed in second conditional sentences. We can say she were or he were, and I were also we can say. But in case of he or she, we generally use was. So let me give you some examples. As you see, if I were you, I would quit the job. You have understood I am using were here, I am not using was, and it is singular. Still I am using were because I can use it. That's the rule in second conditional. And you can see the next sentence, number 10. If she were rich, she would travel more. So after third person singular number, that is she or he, we normally use was, but here we can use were because it's a second conditional sentence that if she were rich, she would travel more. But as I already mentioned, it sounds slightly awkward, so that's why generally we use was, the traditional form. As you see the last example, if she was rich, she would donate more. Okay, so this is the way also we can say, but the rule is that we can use were after all the subjects, that is he, she, it and I also. So friends, today I hope you have understood. I gave you so many examples with second conditional, and I have already discussed the exact syntax, how to form second conditional sentences, and I'm quite sure you have understood where to use second conditional and how to use it. And try to incorporate all this, try to go through the examples and obviously make sentences and comment below to incorporate it in your spoken English, as well as when you're writing. You can also use second conditional. So friends, I'm quite sure you have liked this video like my other videos. So it is my earnest request to all of you, if you still haven't subscribed to this channel, please do not wait. Immediately go ahead and subscribe to Wisdom Zone and hit the bell icon to get the first notification. So stay tuned for further informative videos friends, and do not forget to like, share, comment and subscribe to Wisdom Zone.